Hello, BookTube. It's another round of mandatory readings for this channel, and I thought we'd do something different for part three, and we'll go author specific today. And that author is the iconic romance writer, Miss Georgette Heyer, of course. This is Heyer, and I love Heyer. I've been reading her probably since I was a teen. I love her to death. So Haya wrote from the 20s to the 70s, pretty much same time period as Agatha Christie, like literally same decades. And Haya pretty much founded one of the main contributors to modern historical romance. She done Regency romances, she done Georgian romances, but she was also known for her historicals too. She done romances and historical fiction about the Battle of Waterloo. She done Middle Ages historical books as well. She done William the Conqueror too, which is very lovely. And she was pretty much one of the great historical writers in terms of in a romance setting. This is Heyo right here, very lovely, and I don't even know where to start with her because I just love her so much. I want to do a shelf tour of all my Heyo, but that will literally take forever because I have so many, and yeah, I will say I'm desperate to get Heyo in new releases because I have a lot of old like mass markets that are completely destroyed and brown, and I want something nice. Or if I even just a hardcover would be lovely as some of her works. But anyway, and let's get started with Hey. There's a lot to go through. I've got a stack here. I've got my notes here because I want to get these right because I want to do Heyo justice because she doesn't get talked about as much anymore. Even on YouTube, there aren't that many videos as you'd see for any other type of romance writer or Christie in that aspect because that I don't think they really met, but I think they were very much obviously aware of each other. But anyway, if you want like a biography to start with Heya, this is probably the best one. This is by Jennifer Colster. Very solid biography of Heya. Heya lived a very private life. And if you want to see any interviews or anything like that of her, good luck because she literally done one in her entire 50-year long career. She done a written interview with a journalist towards the end part of her career, and that's literally it. She was very private, but as private as you could get for a best-selling author of her time. So anyway, if you want biography there, let's start with the romances. This is going to be particularly romance heavy, but I did throw in a couple of her historical novels. I've never read her contemporary fiction because she took them out of print, and I've never been able to find any. And I didn't include any of her murder mysteries, which are quite good, especially for someone who wrote in a different genre too. Like most authors, I've always find who write that type of genre fiction can't really do that crossover, but Heya I found really could do it. And she also wrote a very lovely essay about the Bronte sisters as well, if you want to ever check that out as well. So anyway, let's start. I have a massive stack here to start with. And the first book we're going to start with is the iconic Grand Sophie. Sophie is a Juno woman who comes to England to meet her relatives, and absolute chaos ensues. The clashes with the family are so funny, but Sophie is just so charming, and the leading man in this book, Charles, he starts off a bit of a grump, but the way he changes and just like he changes throughout the novel too, and just these two characters together are so lovely. And I will say, going forward, Haya is one of the funniest writers you can find, for me at least. I like laugh out loud with some of her books. I love her humor to death. And she's more, there aren't as much action in her books, it's more dialogue. But my god, these are some of the most chaotic characters I've ever read in a romance, and I love them to death. So we have the Grand Sophie here. And Sophie, just the clashes she gets to with this family is so insane and so lovely, and you need to read it. Next, we have These Old Shades. This is one, again, more of her famous ones. This is actually a Georgian romance, but it takes place in France as well, and England, obviously. And Leonie's our lead. She's hilarious. the Duke's a bit more standoffish in this book. He's more of an anti-hero, if I'm being a bit honest, which is a bit rare for her, but it does happen a bit. And he changes throughout the novel as well, and it's just so lovely. That's all I really need to say because Haya is an amazing writer. This did start a series for her. This was the first book. Then there was Devil's Cub as well, and Devil's Cub. I don't think I pulled it out here, but again, pick it up because it's essential Haya reading. These old shades, you will fall in love with it, and it's very lovely. Next, who do we have next? We have The Convenient Marriage. Horatia is one of Haya's greatest leads. I love her to death. Another Georgian romance here, and it revolves around the Earl Rule, who was looking for a young bride, and he chooses Horatia, who is, the beauty of the season and all that. But she loves someone else, of course, and Horatia's sister comes up with a plan to a chaotic plan to go survive what's going on here, and it is just so funny. The Earl is one of Haya's best leads as well. I love him in here. All the characters are just so funny, and I'm gonna say this with every book, but it's so true. Haya is just such a hoot. Who's next? We have Frederica. Frederica, the leading male is very much like an old school rake type of male, leading men. Frederica is in London trying to arrange a marriage for her little sister, and the Marquis, who enters this family, chaos happens, and it is just so funny. He flips this family upside down, and I cannot get enough of it. It is so addictive, and her novels, again, very short, literally not even 350 pages, like nothing, tiny. But the chaos in these books are just so iconic and funny. Next, we have one of her more interesting novels, The Unknown Ajax. Hugo is one of her best leading men again. He comes into a high-class family as a weaver's son, as a bit of a black sheep, and he isn't classy like his family. And he has to prove himself to the family, and he's just such a down to earth lead character in here. He is it's different to Haya because this book deals a lot with social class of the time, and it's something that Haya you never see in her books as much. But The Unknown Ajax is very much a social novel as well as a romance. But again, The Unknown Ajax, you have these in your library, pick them up because they are essential reading. Then we have Venetia here. Venetia is an older lady, and she's a lot more smarter than a lot of the other heroines you'll read in Haya. And she meets her neighbor, and he's a bit of a rake. But they develop a relationship, and it is just so beautiful. It's so sweet, and you'll fall in love with Venetia and the neighbor because they're just so lovely together. Then we have probably my favorite Haya here, and this is the iconic Sylvester here. Sylvester, I cannot even begin to describe you how many times I've read this book. I love this to death. If I ever find this in a hardcover, I will literally pass away from sheer joy and excitement. Sylvester has to find a lady to marry because he's an earl or duke or whatever, and he chooses Phoebe, who is the most insane, just coolest leading lady in a romance I've ever read. She decides to, I'm gonna go out with you, Sylvester, and whatever. And he takes her around the castles and all that, and she's just so unimpressed and whatever. And he's trying to impress her and all that. And then it gets to the point, it's so funny, I don't know why I'm laughing so hard, but she literally walks off. She leaves him, and he has to chase after her, and it is so funny. I don't know how many other romance writers could, at the time, or modern, could pull off a plot like that. I think Tessa Dare could, but I can't imagine a Barbara Cartland or even a Bodice Ripper, like a Joanna Lindsay, doing this type of romances, because I just think Haya's flair for romance and her eye for detail and her wit is just so lovely. Haya is probably like, if you want like an author that a modern author that's closest to Jane Austen, Haya is 100% a must go to. The only major difference between Haya and Austen is I think Haya's humor is a bit more modern. Her characters are a bit more modern, but in terms of just historical accuracy to Haya is the greatest, I think. But yes, Sylvester is one of my favorites. Pick it up if you haven't. It's short and you will absolutely laugh. It's so funny. Who's next? Then we have. Oops, sorry. I have to scroll down my notes. We have The Quiet Gentleman here. This is a very beat up copy. I would love a better edition of this. The Quiet Gentleman. This is set after the Battle of Waterloo, and this follows after I've never been able to say his name. Gervais France, the seventh Earl of Earth. He returns home to collect his inheritance after his father dies. He again the black sheep of the family, and there's also a murder mystery randomly throughout this book, and it's lovely. Mariana, I can't even say her name, is the family's neighbor, and she's smart, and again they're also a sweet couple as well. This book, and I forgot to mention Sylvester. If you want to see Haya do like her style of a gothic romance, check these two out because they're very gothic, big castles, but it's more of a call to the 1700s, like the early gothic romances rather than the more modern, at least at the time for Haya, the more romance, the gothic, what became gothic at the time. But check that out as well. What do we have next? We have The Reluctant Widow here. Very lovely again. The Reluctant Widow, Eleanor, she enters a wrong carriage on her way to a governor's job, and she arrives at a different house and meets Lord Carnyon, Caryon, and she pretty much gets tied into this land estate inheritance scheme, and she's forced to marry this oh my god, I've already forgot his name, Canyon, and literally they don't get along at all. Like in terms of families, they're very different. But just the way they grow as a couple is so funny. Again, I have this as a hardcover. It's the only Haya hardcovers I have. But again, The Reluctant Widow is very lovely as well. And then last two we have here is The Conqueror. This is the Hastings battle, William the Conqueror. Again, if you want to see how great of a historical writer Haya was, this is probably the best one she wrote, and it's lovely. It's so cool. I love Haya's just I don't even know what I'm saying. I've run out of words, but I'll skip a bit into her last novel. This is My Lord John. She originally planned to do a series of novels about the Lancaster brothers, which you don't see many romance writers doing that. And she only wrote the first book in the series. She didn't even finish it. We literally just got the manuscripts published here. And My Lord John, again, it's about John, but you also get a lovely detail about his three brothers as well. And it's more of a coming of age novel. This wasn't really much of a romance, but it's still very lovely. I know some people don't like this one as much because there is sometimes of Haya, she does get a bit bogged down in terms of historical accuracy and explaining a lot of stuff. And I know that's like her main critique, but most of the time she makes it fit so well, and it makes you feel like you're reading a book from the 1800s. And it's to the point where I've literally had to look up words like snuff boxes and all that because I literally do not know what she meant by that. But My Lord John, I've heard people get bogged down by the historical historical writing that Haya does, and includes a lot of. It doesn't bother me because that's what I go to Haya for. But again, if you want to try more of her historical stuff, this is a lovely one to do as well. And that's it for today. That was a lot of Haya we went through. I know I repeated myself a lot, but literally I don't know what to say because Haya is one of the great romance writers, and she doesn't get enough attention that she deserves. Will I do a part two? Maybe, maybe. I could do some of her historicals, just her more traditional historical books as well. But I could easily do more romances. She wrote for 50 years, and this is just a tiny sample of the greatness of Haya. You'll find her in your libraries, of course. She's really famous. You'll find her a lot in secondhand shops. And yeah, there's great audiobooks as well. Check her out. And yeah, that was your dose, not daily, your dose of Haya. Now go and read Haya because she deserves it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching BookTube, and I'll see you next time.